I think the base GTI is incredible.
So how did I come to this conclusion? And well, what were my full thoughts on the car when I finally drove it recently in 2022? Well, let me explain. And don't forget to subscribe to see more content like this in the future.
No, I'm just like grinning ear to ear. Seriously, as you can see. S3, all got the same engine.
Yeah.
Power I felt was enough for day-to-day use and to have fun on a nice road. 245 PS felt really nice, but the main part of it was the torque. Yeah, it felt really torquey and really sort of shoved along. I didn't feel encouraged to rev the car out too much, as just the car's sort of impression for me was more focused around daily refinement while still being slightly sporty. I did love the colours on the infotainment, which changed as it went from eco to sport, so that sort of like calming colour to sort of like a red, more racy effect, which I've really felt added to the experience actually on the Mark 8.
Feels comfy. So is this is this like a base spec GTI?
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So no DCC, no
nothing.
It feels comfy.
Oh, it's absolutely.
And you've gone from 18s to 19s, haven't you?
As well, yeah. So, and I've lost none of the comfort of the everyday driver.
Comfort, the most comfortable hot hatch you can buy, 100%. For me, it's firmer than the Mark 7 GTI. I think it had maybe a little bit more of a sporty edge from what I drove before, but then again, DCC will add to the comfort further. But this car, which was on passive dampers and on 19-inch wheels, felt extremely comfortable to me. And to be fair, the versatility between sportiness and that balancing act, I just think is absolutely fantastic.
The undulations, you can really tell if a car has sorted suspension.
Yeah.
And I know they've worked so hard on like the front end compared to the 7.5.
Yeah, I mean, this car
I mean, look at the road.
so classic. You know, I mean, it's got a bit of roll in it, but no worse than any other car I've driven.
And that's for the comfort.
And, you know, it absolutely is, you know, it's just a lovely car to drive.
Yeah, I'm smiling.
Handling. So the downside on some of that comfort is the body roll. So it does roll. There's no doubt about that. Certainly more than say like my Mark 7 Golf R or the Club Sport that I've driven, the Mark 8 Club Sport 45 and the Mark 8 Golf R. It does roll more, and that's just what you have to expect when you've got a more comfortable car. But the front end is fantastic. You know, I must say it's really good, and the roll is certainly nothing to be sort of like put you off buying the car. The one thing that I would say about the handling is there's no steering feel on these Mark 8s. Having had plenty of drives going from a Mark 7 to a Mark 8, whether it be a Golf R or a Golf GTI, I really felt the Mark 7s and 7.5s had much more steering feel in the wheel. You just felt a little bit more connected to understand what the wheels were actually doing, as opposed to what I've experienced in the Mark 8s. The one thing that I will say, although the Mark 7s have much more feel for the drive, the actual directional change in the Mark 8s is superior. It does handle better. It's just quite hard to get a strong feel from it from that driver engagement standpoint.
Having driven so many Club Sport GTIs and everything, the truth is, mate, on the road, I'm not seeing any difference. I'm not thinking like, oh, I don't have enough power, or
no, I mean, I'd never have enough power to overtake people, or you know, whether it be on the motorway or a nice road like this. Absolutely,
it's loads of torque, low down as well.
Braking, so these are really strong brakes. Although strangely actually on this drive, the brake feel felt quite electronically assisted in this particular drive, which was weird. It's not something I expected and experienced in the previous Mark 8s that I've driven. It just felt a little bit electronic on the pedal. I'm not too sure why that was, but that's just how I experienced it. The one thing that I would say is, however, is they were very powerful and really confident expiring despite this sort of like over-assisted type of nature.
I like how the exhaust come wide. I guess that's just because of the roads, isn't it?
It is. Then, I mean, normally they're...
Say hello to the M2. Is it still silver or chromey type?
They polish up lovely.
Yeah, and that's because I've got like the metal polish. I've always done.
Yeah, I have as well. Got some auto-glue metal polish. I don't know when I got it, but I just found it in my garage, and I'm like, right, sort it out.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's the one thing on ours as well, because it's like 4 exhaust. People who just, I know it's hard to keep them clean, but people who just don't clean them at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks. So on the look side, I would say it looked sportier than it actually drove, with the red highlights, particularly against the black paint in this owner's car. So this owner had aftermarket Vossen wheels, which added to this, and I would recommend the 19-inch wheels as an upgrade over the 18s on just looks alone. VW actually offers some really good 19-inch wheels, and they always have done in previous GTIs, including the Mark 7. However, if you do stick with the 18s, there obviously benefits in further comfort and refinement. Although the car drove nice and sportily for most people, I would say it probably looked sportier than it actually drove. It's so cool how there's just so much different kind of features, like literally. I love it. And then you can just be like all blue, and this is actually very similar to like my R. I noticed you get it in the back as well.
Yes.
So it's all proper, just calmed, chilled out. Infotainment. So the owner did have issues, and other owners have explained to me that the Mark 8s, they've had its software issues as well, but these are planning to be addressed in the coming months with software updates from VW, so that's great. And I do also believe actually on future Mark 8s there is the potential of having a hardware update to really sort out these issues in the future. I mean, I'll try and hang on to a petrol powered car for as long as I can. Let's see what it's got actually. So that's not even full throttle, and it's fine.
Yeah, it's great fun.
It's really I like the tyres, I have to say, because I have gone obviously different tyres from different people I've driven. I like these Contis. They feel really good.
They do. The Sport 7's meant to be coming out.
Okay, so these are the Sport 6s.
Yes.
Gotcha. Tyres are everything. One big thing to add, so this owner specifically, he fitted Continental Sport Contact 6s to the car. I've always been a big fan of like Michelin and Continentals. You know, you can't really go wrong with both, as they're great premium car tyres. It's the only contact point you have to the ground is the most critical part of any car. You know, if you have low budget tyres, regardless of the car's price performance, it will significantly reduce the experience of the car. So one thing that I would strongly recommend is get some really good tyres on your car. Whether you're buying it new or you're buying it used, that's the one thing that I would go for. It's everything. It changes the way the car drives. This car was fantastic. It was pouring it down with rain, as you can see from kind of the clips, but the car hung on strongly and it felt really good to drive. Why is it incredible? So I personally think price for the performance is first class. I don't think you can get better. The heritage of the GTI name is really huge as well, obviously being around for sort of the last 45 plus years. It's always encapsulated car enthusiasts' imaginations with what the hot hatch is all about. It's quite possibly the last GTI with a petrol engine. You know, I can't see the Mark 9 having a petrol engine anymore, particularly with all the new laws and regulations going on. And to add to everything, it's fantastic residuals and an ownership proposition. You know, just because you can pay slightly less for another car, you know, if that car depreciates, you know, 50-60% of its value after a few years, you know, it's cost you a lot of money. GTIs, they hold their money strong, and you know, that's never going to change. Another thing to add, it's better to live with every day than less sporty models, in my opinion, like say entry-level Mark 8 Golfs, and that's just due to the GTI's more sophisticated suspension and overall premium setup. I really do feel it's incredible.
We use it as the family get around.
That's what I like. I like the child seat in the back and stuff. I like that. That's why I like these cars. That's the future.
I've got two boys, one age 9 and one age 7.
Yeah.
And my 7-year-old goes, "Can you keep the car?" And I'll have it when I'm like learning to drive. And I'm like, no, not having it.
Think of a balancing act scale. So if you have a picture of what the perfect car is and how to balance both sides, you always have to have compromise on one side or the other, whether it's being fun, sporty, and you know, aggressively engaging to a point. And then on the other side, you have that daily refinement side of things. I feel the GTI edges slightly towards comfort, but it's still fun. And I think for most people, that's kind of what you want. I mean, for me, in some ways, the Golf R does this slightly better. But if you factor in price, bear in mind that a base GTI in a manual comes in at sort of £8,000 to £9,000 less than a Mark 8 Golf R, and 100% you should factor in price. My point stands that the Mark 8 GTI is really the car to go for what you're getting. You're still getting that Mark 8 kind of platform in a sporty form. You're still getting that EA AAA engine, albeit slightly detuned. It's really, really good. And to add, it's the only one that comes in a manual. You know, we're not going to see a manual again. And that is something that's really, really huge and just gives you that different option to go for. And yeah, it's one of the only sporty VW cars to have a manual gearbox. It's a fantastic balance. You will not see a newer GTI as good as this again. Like the video.